This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Being creative is pretty cool. Take it from me. I love making the videos I do on YouTube, and if I'm being honest, I wouldn't have gotten anywhere if I didn't take the steps to learn the craft along the way. That's why I'm excited to talk about Skillshare, the online learning community with literally thousands of classes that are each meant to inspire creators. Like the ones about making effective Instagram posts or editing YouTube videos, or if you're like me, classes like productivity for creatives, build a system that brings out your best by Thomas Frank. Because I can be a little disorganized. There are countless premium classes being added all the time, and because it's curated specifically for learning and nothing else, you'll never have to worry about sitting through ads or any such nonsense. If you're interested in letting your creativity blossom, head on down to the description and click on that special link below. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to do so will get a free trial of Skillshare's premium membership. And now, on to the video. What's up guys, Bandit here. You remember when you were a kid and you tried to go buy or rent a video game or a movie from a store, but you couldn't because you weren't the proper age requirement? See, I can't relate because I was born in 1952, but you know who can relate to that? Link from The Legend of Zelda. Kind of. You see, Link is the reincarnation of the spirit of the hero, as many fans are very familiar with. But even though this same spirit reincarnates to battle evil time and time again, for some reason, he looks a bit different every time. And I'm not just talking about hair color. Link has been seen throughout the series sometimes as a 9-year-old, sometimes as a 12-year-old, a 16-year-old, or most recently as a 117-year-old. This would be fine if it wasn't for one key detail from one key game that literally the entire timeline is based off of. In Ocarina of Time, there exists this teeny tiny massive little requirement for wielding the legendary Master Sword. This is proven to us by the fact that when he does draw the Master Sword, it puts him to sleep automatically within the Sacred Realm for 7 years, until he awakens and Rauru explains that he was specifically too young to be the hero of time, but is now the proper age. This little detail of the age of the hero is apparently important enough that the entire franchise's timeline was split over it. But yet, in The Wind Waker, Link, who was designed to be around 12 years old, and I'll provide evidence for that in a bit, is garbed in the clothing of the hero because he apparently reached the age of the hero. So what is the age of the hero? Is it 12? Is it 16? I'm so glad you asked. I just so happened to make a video on that very subject. You're watching it right now. So make sure you like this video if you like this video and subscribe for much more content to come. And join me as we try to answer this franchise-defining question. To begin, let's determine how many links there have been across the series. Starting from the beginning point on the timeline, we have the Link from Skyward Sword, the Link from the Minish Cap, the Link from Four Swords, the Link from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, the Link from A Link to the Past and the Oracle games and Link's Awakening, the Link from A Link Between Worlds, the Link from Zelda 1 and 2, the Link from Twilight Princess, the Link from Four Swords Adventures, the Link from The Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass, the Link from Spirit Tracks, and finally, the Link from Breath of the Wild / Breath of the Wild 2. I mean, there's also the potentially 3 other links from Triforce Heroes, but I'll be honest with you, I really don't know what to do with this game. It does have an official timeline placement and takes place in the lore of the series, but it's so weird and doesn't have anything to do with actual Zelda lore. I mean, come on, they're fighting in a kingdom where the worst thing that's going to happen is the princess is going to be forced to wear unfashionable clothing forever. And I mean, at least Four Swords and Four Swords Adventures features one link that was split into 4, but with Triforce Heroes, there are also apparently just 3 literal links in general. So I'm sorry, but for this list, I'm just not going to include the links from Triforce Heroes. Anyway, that leaves us with 12 links over all the games, with some of them reprising their heroic roles for sequels and the like. Now, let's attempt to figure out how old each of these links are, and then try to identify a pattern, should one exist, of course. Starting again from the first game in the timeline, the hero of the skies is 17.5 years old, according to a quote from Kobayashi, his character designer. The Minish Cap Link's age is completely unknown, but due to his design, we can assume his age would be similar to that of his lookalike, the Hero of Winds, who we'll get to in a second. And actually the same goes for the Hero of Four Swords as well. The famous Hero of Time from Ocarina of Time has long been a debated age as both a child and an adult, with people claiming for him to be anywhere from 7 to 12 years old as a kid and anywhere from 14 to 20 years old as an adult. But in an interview with Miyamoto Miyamoto from Iwata asks, Miyamoto said this specifically about the Hero of Time. When we decided to handle Link growing up from a 9-year-old child to a more mature 16-year-old, I wanted lots of characters to fulfill various roles. The key takeaway here from this quote is, of course, the fact that directly from the mouth of the series' creator himself, the Hero of Time as a child is 9 years old and becomes 16 years old when tasked with wielding the Master Sword. Moving on, the Hero of Winds, as I mentioned earlier, was designed to be around 12 years old, according to a direct quote from Aonuma, who may not have created the entire series but has for a long time been its producer and director. In the official guide to the Wind Waker called Zelda Box, he says, quote, this Link is supposed to be about 12 years old. Why they called this the age of the hero in-game is unknown, but Aonuma sounded pretty direct if you ask me. The proper age of the hero may have just been lost to time and legend in-game. Also, because the Hero of Winds from Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass looks exactly like the other Toon Links from the Minish Cap, Spirit Tracks, Four Swords, and Four Swords Adventures, we can assume they're all at least around the same age of 12, since we have no information about the others' ages. Next up, even though the Hero of Twilight is said to be 17 years old in the official game guide, he's actually 16 years old, according to a quote from an interview Aonuma had with Nintendo Dream in 2007. When Aonuma was asked by the interviewer, by the way, in this game Link is 16 years old, right? He responded with, quote, being 16 years old is right before turning into an adult. The TV ad of the Disk System game Adventure of Link said 16 years, so now Link is 16 years old, which is another way of saying yes. Moving right along, the Link from A Link to the Past, the Oracle games, and Link's Awakening is around 16 years old as well, since this page scan from a Nintendo character reference guide from 1993 reveals that Zelda in A Link to the Past is 16 years old at the time of the game. Since Link is historically the same age as Zelda, it can be assumed that he is also 16 at the time of the game. The Link from A Link Between Worlds doesn't have a confirmed age, but since that game is supposed to be a parallel / spiritual successor to A Link to the Past, we can assume that Link and Zelda are the same age as their predecessors from A Link to the Past, so 16 as well. The Link from the original Legend of Zelda and its sequel Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link is 10 at the time of the original game and 16 at the time of its sequel, as proven by the Adventure of Link's official game guide, which states that Link's mark of the Triforce began to glow right around his 16th birthday. And Zelda 2 takes place 6 years after the original game according to Hyrule Historia. So yeah, 16 in the sequel minus 6 is 10 in the original. Finally, the Link in Breath of the Wild is 17 years old, since he and Zelda are normally the same age, and we know for a fact that Zelda's 17th birthday was the same day that Calamity Ganon destroyed everything. Yeesh. Okay, looking at the data we've accumulated for Link's age in each game, there seems to actually be a pretty simple solution to the puzzle. And what's better is it can be explained with in-game lore. Well, mostly. You see, the pattern here is that all the Links that appear as 16 or 17-year-old boys have one thing in common: the Master Sword. The answer to the mystery of Link's age could be that whenever the Master Sword is needed to vanquish evil, an incarnation of the hero will rise as a 16-year-old boy. Now, you might be thinking, but wait, doesn't the Link from the original game wield the sword at 10 years old? Well, that's actually the magic sword, not the Master Sword, which of course operates off of a different rule set. Apparently, the Hero of the Skies, Hero of Time, Hero of Twilight, Hero of the Past, Hero of Hyrule, Hero of Winds, and Hero of the Wild are the Links that wield the Master Sword and are all at least 16 years old, with two explainable exceptions. The Hero of Winds was 12 when he drew the Blade of Evil's Bane, but that's okay because 1, it wasn't powered up at the time, 2, the spirit of the hero could have actually been removed from that timeline, and 3, because that might not actually be the original Master Sword. Okay, I realize that implies a whole lot, like enough to make another entire theory about, so I'll link to the other entire theories I did about the possible duplicate Master Sword on the screen now and in the description below. Be sure to check it out if you're interested after this video. The second exception is the Hero of the Wild, or the most recent iteration of Link. Even though he's playable as a 17-year-old, a 117-year-old who wields the Master Sword, it's said in creating a champion that, quote, since he was in possession of it for a number of years prior to becoming a champion, he was likely around 12 or 13 years old when it happened.
It being obtaining the Master Sword, that is. But not to skirt over the issue, Breath of the Wild is the most futuristic and most unexplained Zelda game to date, since its connections to previous Zelda games are both numerous and shrouded in mystery. For instance, if it's connected to the Wind Waker's timeline, that could be the second Master Sword according to my theory, so it could possibly operate off of different rules. If it's connected to Zelda 2 or to Twilight Princess's timelines, then it would have to be the original, which would then not make much sense. The thing is, since Breath of the Wild's history is so shrouded in unconfirmed mysteries, I'm going to disregard Link's age when he picked up the blade before the events of the game and just go with the fact that, based on what we can see, he is 17 when he wields it in-game. So, back to the matter at hand. Exceptions aside, I think that when a hero is called upon to wield the Master Sword specifically, he will then appear as a 16-year-old, or he will be made to be a 16-year-old, like in Ocarina of Time. In every other appearance of Link, specifically the Hero of Minish, Hero of Light, and Hero from the original game, he's not required to take down Ganon. Therefore, the Master Sword is not necessary, meaning the spirit of the hero can rise to the challenge at whatever age he notices there is a challenge. Again, with the exception of the hero from the original Legend of Zelda, who does defeat Ganon with the use of the magic sword and silver arrows instead. In summary, it appears that throughout the entire franchise, the spirit of the hero may appear whenever evil is abound, but the Master Sword is the one that determines the hero's age. This is, of course, just my theory though. What do you guys think? Is Link's age determined by the Master Sword, or is it a roll of the dice to see what we get next? Let me know in the comments below.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. Please consider leaving a like below if you did enjoy the video so that it can get spread around to other Zelda fans just like you and me. With E3 right around the corner, we need to start building that Zelda hype and getting Zelda videos out to everyone, and liking this video is a great way to do just that. Also, double check and make sure that you're subscribed to the channel if you haven't already so that you are front and center when new content drops. As always, humongous thanks goes to my Bandit crew, of which I have a few names to announce. Please say hello to AMG November, James P, Dan Gamble, and Retrospector, who have all joined up with my elite. If you watching are interested in getting your name up here and helping me to live and subsequently make videos like this one, click that join button below or follow the links in the description to my merch and Patreon pages to join up. Also down there are the links to my social media pages, so come follow me on Twitter and Instagram for more funny, epic, hilarious, informative, generally awesome stuff that I do. That's all I've got for this one, so as always, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. This is MaskedNintendoBandit signing out, and looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Peace!